Hi, and welcome back to Trying to with Leah. So, today we are talking about sitting with yourself. What does that mean? It is more than just sitting in silence with yourself, it's more than just sitting without distractions. It means actually reflecting on who you are as a person and what you have done, the decisions that you've made in the past, and how those have affected you in your life. It often brings up feelings of regret, guilt, and memories that we wish we could just erase. And most people avoid ever sitting with themselves at all because they just don't want to face those parts of themselves. So, of course, we all have something in our life that we wish we could go back and fix, or maybe do differently, or change in a way. And unfortunately, there's a hard truth that comes along with that, that we do have to accept. And that is that you cannot undo the things that you've done. You can't unhurt the people that you've hurt. And going back and replaying the past and playing that what if game, all it really does is keep those wounds open. It can feel productive, but it's really just causing our wounds to fester. So, what does it look like when we are avoiding dealing with these parts of ourselves? Well, of course, that can look like giving yourself constant distraction, busyness, just busying your time up. It can look like escapism, just scrolling on your phone, or maybe you escape into your relationships or substances or other things. Um, and avoidance, it isn't actually weakness, it's more of self protection than anything else. But it does keep your healing just out of your reach. And that's important to know. So, sitting with yourself, in my opinion, is an act of courage. It is an act of determination and strength. It is not a punishment. It's not meant to be a punishment. It's meant for you to heal. So you have to ask yourself, do I have the strength to sit with these parts of myself that make me want to run? And a good way to get over that fear, I believe, is to ask yourself the question, what's the worst that could actually happen? What could happen if I sat with these parts of myself? What could happen if I sat here and thought about the thing that I've been avoiding for years, maybe? And vast majority of the time, the answer to that question is nothing big. You're not going to end up fighting yourself by thinking about these things. You're not going to end up hurting yourself. In fact, the real thing is that it's going to heal you. It's going to allow you to accept and understand that part of yourself. So if you have the strength to do it, it's part of the healing process. But of course, that means you're going to be bringing up some very uncomfortable emotions like shame and guilt and fear sometimes. And those emotions, while they are very, very uncomfortable, sitting in those emotions and figuring out why exactly you feel that way that you do about it is part of that healing as well. And those feelings actually become a lot quieter once you acknowledge them and accept them. It doesn't mean that they're going to disappear, obviously, but they do definitely calm down once you realize, hey, this is what's really going on. So, I'm going to talk to you about a time in my life that this brings up for me. It's one of the biggest things that I had been avoiding dealing with for years because it was so painful. So, at one point in time long ago, I had an ex boyfriend and we had just broken up. And it was about a week after our breakup that one of his main family members passed away. And so he reached out to me for comfort at that point in time to grieve. And at that time, I felt as though that was an unhealthy situation for both of us, for me to be the person that he was leaning on immediately after our breakup for something so big in his life. So unfortunately, I, instead of comforting him, chose to redirect him to his own family members, his other family members that could help him deal with that grieving process at that point in time. And while I felt like that was the best choice that I could have made at the time, it did not go over well. He was not happy with that response, of course. He was very hurt. So I carried a lot of guilt and pain surrounding that conversation because a couple of years later, he passed away. So that was one of the final conversations that I ever had with him. And because of that, I replayed the crap out of that conversation in my head. I thought about it constantly. What could I have said differently? What could I have done differently? Could I have been more comforting and more, if I'd had a softer response, would that have gone over well? Maybe he might still be here today. And that's the thing. You can do that to yourself. You can spend your entire life playing that game, the what if game, and replaying that conversation over and over again, replaying that scenario over and over again, wishing you had done things differently. But it doesn't actually help you heal to do that. All it does is really just reopen your wounds and deepen the regret that you feel. So instead of just replaying that conversation over and over again, it's important to ask yourself the question, what did I know at the time? What was I trying to do? Was I trying to protect someone? Was I trying to protect myself? And acknowledge what happened. Say, yes, it was a harsh conversation. And yes, I wish I had said things differently. I wish I had been softer. I wish I had been more compassionate. But then you need to give yourself compassion. Have compassion for yourself in that situation, and don't view diving into these situations as a punishment. View it as a way to heal. Let go of that what if game, because that can keep you stuck. That can keep you going around and around in circles and literally destroy you. But instead, if you accept what happened and you accept your role in it, then you can decide from there to actively love yourself in those moments, actively love yourself through those mistakes and say, you know what? Yes, I wish things had been a little different, but I also would not be the person that I am if things had gone differently. I wouldn't have learned the lesson that I learned from this. I wouldn't move forward in the way that I'm moving forward now. So, of course, I talk about all the time on here how I feel like every experience has a lesson attached to it. And that is no different with the things that you are trying to avoid. In fact, those are your biggest lessons. Those are the ones that you really need to learn, are the ones that you avoid. So, of course, you don't want to rush trying to find the meaning in situations or rush the lesson, because sometimes hindsight is what gives you the lesson. And you can't really find that lesson until you get that hindsight. Sometimes it actually literally takes time for these situations, for the pain to kind of soften and for you to be at a point that you can heal. So, of course, I want to reassure you, if you are doing this work, if you are diving deep and trying to confront these versions of yourself and confront the things that you have been avoiding, if you do not see the lesson in it, I encourage you, give it time. Someday it will make sense. And someday you will see how that situation shaped you, how it affected you, and then you have the empowerment from there to do what you want with that information. You can take it forward, or you can choose to say, you know what, that happened, but that's no longer me. That's no longer who I want to be, and I'm going to choose to move differently in my life. So, of course, doing this kind of work is draining. It's exhausting. It feels like you have spent weeks crying and that's all you've done. But it is so worth it, I promise you. Even going through this draining experience, eventually you wake up feeling lighter. You wake up going, you know what? It doesn't hurt as bad. It doesn't feel as dark anymore. I have brought all of that darkness into the light. And because I did, now I can see it clearly and I can deal with it and I can move forward. My life, since I have done all of this inner work and all of this healing, feels 1,000 times lighter than it did in the past. And I promise you, that is 100% the truth. Just a couple of years ago, I was functioning out of anxiety and fear and worry and heartbreak and grief and regret and all kinds of different emotions that just drained me nonstop every single day. And now I don't feel all of those emotions weighing me down every day. I feel 1,000 times lighter. I feel when I get up in the morning that I am ready to conquer whatever comes to me. And that is empowering. That is very inspiring for me, because I can wake up and know that even if something happens that I definitely am not going to like, it's going to be okay. I'm going to learn a lesson from it, and I will wind up being a better person because of that. So whatever does happen, whatever does come into my future, it's there to help me grow. And when you have that perspective, when you really truly believe that, you can't help but get a good benefit out of it. You can't help but end up growing and becoming a better person because you're trying to, which is the whole point. So definitely that's the biggest lesson I could give you today for sure. But I hope that you don't forget your past, don't gloss over your past, but confront it. Go in there and do some healing work, and then emphasize your integration of the lessons into your life. You know, you can integrate those lessons and carry those lessons forward with you. So don't forget your past, don't glaze over it, deal with it, learn those lessons, and decide to carry them with you as well. Okay, so if you are still here, that means that you got something out of today's message, and I really hope that that is the case. So if you are struggling, if you have things that you are avoiding, thinking about and feeling in your life, I want you to know that you are not broken. You are not wrong for those things. You have been protecting yourself. And once you're ready to do that healing, it's there waiting for you. It's there ready for you to acknowledge it and for you to work through it. So I invite you to sit with yourself with something that you have been avoiding this week, if you can, if you're willing. Because healing doesn't come from running away, it actually comes from staying. So even if it's just for a few minutes, sit with yourself this week and decide to reflect on something that you have been avoiding. Reflect on something that has been on your mind, maybe a mistake that you've made in the past, or some kind of situation where even you had no control. But regardless, sit with that and decide, is this something that is going to benefit me or harm me from here on out? What has it done in the past, and what am I going to choose to let it do in the future? So if that resonated with you at all, if you enjoy these kind of talks, those kind of things, let me know in the comments. Definitely, you don't have to, disclose all of your big things that you're working on or anything like that, but let me know that you are also trying to work on yourself as well. Because I think that that is extremely important for people to do. And the more people that can work on themselves, the more people that are going to become better versions of themselves. And therefore, we will end up with better people in a better world. So that is my hope, at least. Hopefully, you do feel the same. So let me know if you do, and we will reconvene next Tuesday for more inspiring and healing conversations. So I hope you enjoyed today's talk, and I'll see you next week. Thank you guys so much, and have a great week.